During the spring semester of 2020, the Columbus College of Art and Design and the Veteran Arts Initiative of the VA Central Ohio Healthcare System collaborated to tell veteran stories through animation, video, and podcasting. We started with a question: how can collaborative creative storytelling connect veterans and civilians across generations? Starting from the shared platform of art making, CCAD students were paired with artists from the VAI, a program that provides workshops, classes, and other creative arts opportunities to veterans.
So the Veterans Arts Initiative is really a product of community involvement and community action. It started with the Veterans Arts Council, which was a group that came together with veteran employees and really looked at how we could impact veterans here at the Columbus VA in positive ways using art. And through that council came the program. So we really found out what veterans wanted and how they wanted them and when they wanted them. So it really was a grassroots organization from the start. And with the Veterans Arts Council, we really rely on veterans' voices and the volunteer and the fellowship to make the programs happen.
After I participated in the program, I started coming around more often and finding out some more of the non-clinical treatments that they were giving. And I found out that Heather had established these programs in order to kind of offer a way for veterans to express themselves creatively, to kind of join in a community, do things together, and find empowerment through creativity, a process, and just ways to tell their story without clinical means. I personally got exactly that out of it. I was able to tell a story, I was able to share stories with others, and I was able to see other people participating in the program that were finally able to express themselves without using words. They were able to say the things that weren't able to be said.
The collaboration began with the students receiving training by VA staff on military culture and empathic listening. Then, students from the film and animation classes selected their veteran collaborators from a list of participants, while students from the podcasting class attended a mixer with veterans hosted at CCAD. Each student then took what they learned back into the classroom and developed their projects in collaboration with their chosen veteran. What follows here are the results of their collaborative storytelling.
My name is Aaron, and I would like to introduce to you Bernie. Bernie is a Vietnam War veteran and writer who is discussing his experience during and after the Vietnam War. Would you like to share any of your poetry?
The one that I wanted to share, because it is relatively private, but when I wrote it, I just, fell apart. But it's about Ron. He tried to scream from a tortured face, but had no strength or air. He tried to scream, express his pain, but the words just weren't there. He sailed toward me in airborne arc, his legs and arms were trailing. He couldn't scream, the shock complete. He knew his life was failing. He sailed right by without a word. We were frozen in place. His back was glistening scarlet red, no clothing, not a trace. He struck the water, disappearing, shattering the spell. Welcome to the other world. Welcome, sir, to hell. When I finally wrote that poem, it took me about, 45 minutes to settle. Mm-hmm. And it still, triggers.
Would you say that your audience is people who haven't experienced war?
Mostly.
Mm-hmm. What do you wish to accomplish through that?
Greater understanding. I don't like being misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Kandel is a Nobel laureate. He discovered the physical nature of memory. Mm. But he also wrote a book about reductionism in painting. And it's like, did these go together? Mm-hmm. But it did. And I love painting. I think if something can suddenly trigger an emotion of any sort, that's magic.
Yeah.
And paintings do that.
Right, here we go.
All right.
Excited.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you're done.
My name's Lenny D. And I always use my middle initial, Lenny D. Anderson. And I'm an Army veteran. I knew I was going to join the military when I was knee-high, pooping in diapers. My family has been serving since the Civil War. I used to get all of the magazines and cut out all the military advertisements, and I made a scrapbook of all of the different services. My granddad was my biggest hero. He has served during World War II and has served in both the European and Asian theater, but he never talked about his time in the Asian theater because it was right before they dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and he was a quartermaster. So I'm imagining, I can't say because it was something that he never talked about, but I'm imagining that he was in charge of the body bags. I guess the best way to say it, collected the remains. And I think that's why he never talked about it. My family wanted me to go straight to college. While I was in high school, I used to go visit the recruiter's office. Unbeknownst to my family, within a few weeks after turning 18, I signed up. And I remember going home and say, hi, how you doing, and all that stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, I joined the Army. You think you're prepared, but you're never, because the experience is very shocking. It's like the Polar Bear Club. You think you know what it's going to be like jumping into water, that cold water, until you do it, and then you realize, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Physically, I had never been through anything like that before. One of the funny incidents when we left the reception station, once it was at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and we're like, oh, this is easy. We didn't know what was happening. And we get to our unit, and I won't forget his name. He comes on the bus. My name is Drill Sergeant Washington, and you got 10 seconds to get off the bus, and 9 of them's gone. And we were of course, the way he did it was scared the living daylights out of us. So we're all trying to get off the bus. And I remember this guy's name. His name's Burgee. This was in 1984, so we didn't have liquid laundry detergent. And his duffel bag fell open. All of his laundry detergent went across the drill floor. Sergeant Washington went over. He did like this. That's cocaine. Boy, what the hell are you bringing in cocaine in my... It was so... And to see this big old guy just, it was just like, we were all like that. It was funny. But then they scared the living daylights out of us after that and made us do way too many push-ups, plus a few more. I lost some friends, so that wasn't good. My last unit during the Gulf War was sort of a FUBAR moment, which is effed up beyond all recognition. And it was not a good period in my life. 3 of my bestest friends, bros in the world, we called ourselves the 4 Flags of Death. Pete, Randy, and Mike kept me from going too crazy. The day before I ETS'd or got out of the military, my colonel of my battalion called me into his office. He had asked me what I was going to do when I got out. I said, may I speak freely, sir? And he says, well, don't you always? And it just popped in my head, I'm going to become an artist because I'm tired of people telling me what to do. And he said, Anderson, don't you know people are always going to tell you what to do? And I said, I understand that, sir, but it's going to be on my terms. I started as a poet and performance artist. I was pissed at the world. So they were angry poems. In the beginning, I was a raging, angry guy. I used to love to fight. Art's been very cathartic for me. It's allowed me to channel those negative feelings into something positive. In '94, I decided to stop performing and teach myself how to paint. My work deals with socio-political and cultural issues, but I look at it from more of a national, global standpoint. But I do ask a lot of my audience. My goal was to hopefully be able to have a legacy that my son could profit from. I do my best to donate my time, live the life that I don't have to regret. There's always going to be some regrets, as much as I may not like it.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Pretty much just being a good guy. That's it.
I'm Marion, and I chose the military. I just saw how I was able to have a great life with my family, and I just wanted to carry that tradition. It's a Veterans Arts Initiative. I think the real purpose is to bring in veterans and help them heal through art. I was involved in the Doodle to Fine Art project that CCAD did, and that was really rewarding. And that led into the Arts Council. I've taken everything from stone carving to kintsugi. There's poetry writing. I'm involved in the film festival coming up. I'll help it with the design of that. Just a lot of stuff, and it's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would not still be in Columbus if it were not for the VA and the friendships and the bonds and the programs that they have.
I had just come in off of a ship. I actually landed on a Utah beach, and we landed there about 5 o'clock in the evening, and then we dropped all of our gear, and then we had to march from the Utah to the Omaha, which took 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. We kept getting lost and everything. And, well, it was blackout, and you're just walking, and the officers didn't know anything about it. And when we get to a checkpoint, they would tell us to shut up because we was in the front lines and we was making too much noise. And then by the time we get to the Omaha Beach, well, there was no shelter. Only thing we had was a raincoat. Well, when we dropped our stuff, we kept our ammo, rifle, entrenching tools, and gas masks, and a raincoat. And then by the time we got to the Omaha, they told us just get out there and stretch out and go to sleep. So it was wet and cold and all that. You just lay on the ground and that's it. And because it got there late enough where I missed old Betcheck Charlie. So I didn't know he'd come down through that 11 o'clock every night. Boy, that was a sight to behold. But, like I said, 11 o'clock, he's coming. And, and he was strafing all down through there. And they put enough gunfire up there where you could read a newspaper, but from the flashes and also from the tracers. I never saw him get hit. But, just every night at 11 o'clock, dig a hole and crawl in because he's coming. And any time when you ever saw a dogfight, it was so high up, all you could just see just little blinking lights, which would be machine gun fire. And they'd be going round and round up there, but I couldn't tell one plane from the other. But it was busy down there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then it kind of But the thing that got me, I just glad I didn't go down there on the first day. Because when I got down there, the bodies were still coming in with the tide, you know. Yeah, it was something else. You had to sit there, and then when I'm walking back there in the hedgerows, I don't know why I would be going there anyhow. But you would find body parts and all that kind of stuff, and all you could do was smell of death the whole time I was over there. I guess the breakout was at St. Lo, and that happened in July. But I was sitting on a hill looking down into St. Lo, and I was watching those bombers come. And you see a bomber stream is just as far as you could see. I watched them for an hour. They bombed that place to pieces. And I figured, I said, well, nobody lived through it, but I guess they come out fighting. Actually, I landed over there before Patton did. So Patton come in later, you know, than I did. So then they decided to go to Luxembourg and the Ardennes to set up a big dump. And so anyhow, I got there around the 1st of December. And so one day, about a couple of days later, a couple of us decided to go wandering off. And we looked down in the valley and we could see an airfield. And these planes were taking off and starting to fire and everything. And so anyhow, we said, I wonder what's going on. I said, it's probably target practice. Well, this was the 15th of December, I found out later. That was the beginning of the Battle of the Bulge. And so when we get back to camp, they're loading up, scattering, trying to get out. And our supplies went one way and we went another. And so anyhow, we get further down into the forest. And so anyhow, they didn't have any, you know, it left so fast. The cook was with our outfit, but the supplies were somewhere else. And so I was hungry. I decided to go hunting. And it's the dumbest thing I ever did. I wandered off by myself. And I looked around, all I could see was wrecked airplanes and things. There wasn't nothing moving, there wasn't a bird, there wasn't a rabbit, there was nothing. And I got lost. And it took me about 4 hours to find my way back. And then so when we left there, we made it all the way back to Liège, Belgium. Well, I don't know whether you ever heard of buzz bombs or not, but they were V1s. They were, you know, jet bombs. And they fly about 400 miles an hour. And they started coming in. I counted 100 of them one day. And they just luck. And, you know, you'd be one place and the bomb fall over there, you go back there and it wouldn't have fell where you just left from. After a while, it kind of gets on your nerves, you know. And I don't know, it was 2 times I thought I wasn't going to make it. One of them, there's 3 of us, we were in the, had to go to the dispensary. It was up on a hill. And I heard this one coming in, and I heard it shut off. Well, that's when you're worried. And so anyway, well, it carried an 1,800-pound warhead in it. And so when the thing shut off, and I could hear it coming with the air rushing past it, you know. And so 3 of us ran up under a table, and the other guy ran for the door. When it hit, him, door and all, went across the room, you know. And the only thing I got shook up on that one. And as I made it through that. And then so a couple of days later, I was out there, loading the trucks and things. And this one come in, and I watch, and I'm looking up and it shut off, and I jumped in the foxhole. And anyhow, it looked like a foxhole about 4 foot deep. And it looked like he picked me out. All I could see was this thing coming down. But it leveled off and smacked in the side of the mountain, you know. And I was under that, I guess, for about, I don't know how long. Can't remember it because I was too worried about the bombs. Yeah. And it was fun at night because they was 24/7. They sent them during the day and night. And you go try to get a little sleep. And about the time you doze off, you hear that thing come roaring in there, you know, and you said, just keep going.
Mr. Rogers remembers many things from his time in the Army, like the victory mail him and his friends would receive from loved ones back at home. But what Mr. Rogers remembers the most is his time in Paris. When he was in Paris, it had just been liberated, He wasn't supposed to be there, but his friend had convinced him otherwise. They were only there for an hour before they got detained under the Eiffel Tower. They then received a 2-hour pass so they could leave. Instead, however, they decided to tell anyone who asked that they were lost and ended up staying the night in the beautiful city.
My name is Patrick Paquin. I was in the U.S. Navy for 4 years, starting in 1988. Then I went into the Navy Reserves for about 10 years. And then for my last 7 years, I switched over to the U.S. Air Force Reserves. And then when Heather dragged me kicking and screaming into this whole program, I've got to know lots of people. I've got to know a lot of people who are really good at being artists. What they're trying to do is use art as a means of communication, being able to get people to open up, be able to feel like they're accomplishing something, and be able to express themselves and be able to reconnect with other people by expressing themselves. Some of these veterans are very shy around people. They've seen things, they've done things that just have shocked them into a state that basically they're scared of a lot of things. If you've been through what they've been through, you might be far worse than they are. They need something to be able to reach out again and something to give them a means to share with people. And if you have everyone doing art at the same time, you start seeing other people's stuff and you start doing stuff, you start feeling community with these people.
My name is Armand. I was in the United States Air Force from August 2004 to August 2008.
My name is Hannah Rodas. I was in the U.S. Air Force, and I was in from 2010 up until 2016.
I'm Veronica Shields. I joined the U.S. Army in 1973, and I got out in 1978 as a Sergeant E5.
I'm a musician. I've been rapping since I was 7 years old. I'm a curator of safe spaces for community conversation and dialogue. I'm a licensed minister. I have a hip-hop podcast where me and another guy who lives on the other side of the country discuss hip-hop for 3 hours a week. I do fashion, I do sneakers, like I literally do, it really depends on the day.
So I am currently a full-time student at The Ohio State University studying human development and family sciences with a minor in studio art. And when I'm not in class, I work for the Ohio State Office of Military and Veteran Services as the lead peer sponsor.
I do a little volunteer work with the art department at the VA, and I basically do a bunch of artwork at home.
With my art, I tend to focus on utilizing more natural materials. I use a lot of clay, wood, metal, glass, and bones a lot of the time as well. So I do, dioramas with bones. For my ceramics, I tend to mimic nature in many ways, but also manipulate it in ways that are unexpected. I like for my art to be interactive, so it forces the viewer to kind of take a step in and alter their perspective and maybe see something that they weren't expecting.
I create stuff out of like relationships. I create based out of, anger and emotions. I create stuff based off of, just abstract, weird sounds and noises and ideas that are in my head, and I just always want to encourage people to pursue those crazy things.
I enjoy numerous mediums. I enjoy blacksmithing, artistic blacksmithing. stone carving, photography, a little bit of jewelry making, cabinetry or woodworking, and also I'm learning to carve wood.
When I set out to create something, I come up with the idea of like what it is I want to make. And the process of making it often changes from the original concept to the final result. And I think that in itself allows me to kind of break away from my own degree of like perfectionism. I tend to get really caught up in the details, and it's not perfect unless it's exactly the way I planned it out to be. But then it develops into something entirely different or, remotely similar to the original concept. And it makes me so much happier than I would have expected.
I feel like I don't think that one art form like trumps the other. I feel like because I'm most comfortable with music and I'm most comfortable with writing, that the things that I want to convey, I'm able to convey those things through that medium.
My art helps to decrease my stress level, but also I was very isolated prior to starting doing, especially with the VA, the art program. And I'm more mindful when I'm doing it. I'm just focused in on that. I'm not thinking about the 10,000 other things that's going on. And I enjoy watching the start to finish.
It helped me to redefine, or helped me to define myself as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult, to like figure out who am I, what am I doing, and where I'm going. I always had like this safe space to go back to.
Not just being in the military has the art helped me. Also, after being an emergency room nurse, I always helped other people, and I didn't really have a creative outlet. So when I started with a little photography and blacksmithing, and I found it to be very rewarding, as well as I was isolated, and it helped to get me out. I had to learn.
Like, crazy's okay. There's no such thing as normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like crazy's okay. It's only crazy to people who can't do it. My name is Armand. I'm a vet, but I'm also an artist.
My name is Hannah. I'm a veteran, and I am also an artist.
My name is Veronica Shields. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, but I'm also an artist.
My name is Stanley Vivens. I'm an artist. I love doing portraits.
So did you find you had that itch to still be creative, even in a situation like war?
Well, I've been told that the pencil sketches that I do is worth millions to people that I give it to. But it's only me letting that flow.
Yeah, it's an interesting gift.
I won the art contest at the VA in 2017. I painted the memorial, the Vietnam Veteran Memorial that I helped build in San Antonio. I worked with Bob Hope and General Westmoreland, paid for it to be unveiled in 1986.
And so the art contest you said you won in 2017, was that through your work with the VAI, with Heather?
With Heather, she opened the VA on Tuesday and Friday for veterans to come in and do art.
My name is Stephen D. Napper, a.k.a. Simba. I was in the Army. I was in the Army for 3 years active, and I did 6 years National Guard, so a total of 9 years. So my father sent me and my twin down and said, well, I could send one of you to school. So I went out and I started working 3 jobs. I worked in Harding Hospital. I worked at J.C. Penney's. I worked at McDonald's. And it just wasn't really doing anything. I just got out of high school. My dad said, you need to go. So, when the king says go, He's like, okay, I'm gonna drink and make this decision myself. So I went, and it was good for me because it taught me discipline. It taught me how to put things in line. I'm glad I did it. I really am. It made me who I am. Came out of Westerville, country boy. All I know how to do is play sports, and all of a sudden I was like, boom, in the military. And I was like, wow. There was times I was like, boy, Daddy, come get me out of here. But, you know, through the grace of the Lord and strength, and went through, gave me a strong mind. So it allowed me to re-educate myself and be able to come out and do things that I needed to do, that I wanted to do. I programmed myself to be this. I worked at this. I didn't want to be that person that, oh, he's a black man. No, I'm a person. There's a song I sing with Ziggy. It says, I am human. And says that I'm not Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Jew. What does it matter to you? I am a human. And that's what I'm trying to get across. I am a human. I've been playing music since 1983. I played with a band called Demolition Crew. I played with them for 12 years. We've just been apart for 5 years. And I've always been a background singer to people, always stay in the background, didn't want to be forward and stuff like that. But I felt that this is my time. You know, I felt the move to, the Spirit just moved me. The Lord is just telling me, this is your time. For me, I watched it spiritually come together. So I know this is my move. So the name of the whole thing is called Spiritual Revolution Tour. And I'm having people really look at that tour, because it's not just going to be me singing. The band has an act. My partner Yaku has an act. So we're trying to bring a tour around where we can go places and sing and talk about the conscious music. The reason why it says spiritual revolution, because that's what we're in. We're in a spiritual revolution right now. You know, they said wicked places and high places, you know, and we trying to beat down Babylon, try to beat down the system, where the injustice that comes through the system. And I'm very strongly with that. I'm out here, me being an activist for the veterans, because they tell us that they're doing stuff for us, but then we're still fighting, even though we're supposed to be having all this stuff given to us. So what's a better way to put it in music and tell them as they dancing, and all of a sudden they hear something, they like, uh-oh, yeah, that's you, I'm talking about you. Yeah, we got to get it together. I use art as a statement. Art can be used in many ways, you know, for fun or whatever, party, that type of thing. But I use art for a statement, because I feel that the social justice out here is just gone bananas. Reggae music is what we call is a natural, it's your heartbeat. Boom, boom, taka, taka, boom, boom. That's your heartbeat. So Niga Biggie beat, boom, 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 boom. So that's natural. Everybody has a heartbeat, everybody. So when I started playing that music and started seeing people out there and loving it and dancing it, then I started listening to the lyrics. When I talk about consciousness, it started talking about coming together. Talking about when we say Babylon is like how the system is destroying us, how we have to come above the system, how we have to come and fight the system, have to stand up for our rights, you know, get up, stand up for your rights. People that were strong lyrics, it was powerful to me. And I said I wanted to continue that and try to educate the people to become one. Love knocks down all walls. First, you have to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. And when you love yourself, I say the vibe or the spirit, just, people come to you and see that you're in love with yourself. Bringing people together. That's one reason why I do it, is because it's time for us to come together. All this bickering and who you are and what you are, what sexuality you are and all that stuff. I don't care what you do behind your closed doors. As long as you love yourself and love people and love me, we good. We're good. I don't care who you are. If you need help, I'm gonna help you. And that's our problem. We get away from that type of love. We get away from that type of love.
Greg West. I joined the Navy in December 12th, 1982, and I was in for 11 and a half years, got out December 20th, 1994. I was in the VA one day and saw the flyer for Doodle to Fine Art, and I thought that sounded interesting, and it said that, they could give you art supplies. If it wasn't for the art, that's what really got me to the more stable place, the stable place I am now. The art just gives me a nice distraction, and actually I'm quite proud of some of the stuff I do, so it gives me a little bit of self-esteem. It hasn't erased 58 years of me, but I really loved having the opportunity to stretch my ability and to accomplish, to have an imagination of the opportunities.
You will also see the black bleeding from the smile on my mask that represents me trying to always smile in any situation. Growing up even with the good that was God. My father drank. My biological mother dying of an overdose, and an adoptive mother divorcing my father. And the loss of my little brother. The loss of my mother came in my service.
I make because I live, and I live because I make. From the third day that I joined the military, and I say the third day because I was almost nauseously ill and upset the first 3 days, I was really in culture shock. I was like, what the fuck have I done? And on the third day, I decided, you're either gonna go and tell them that you have to get out, or you're gonna off yourself, talk to the chaplain or something, or just dig your heels in and do this thing. And I decided to dig my heels in and do the thing. And I was supposed to get out in March of 91, and I didn't get out until June, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're counting down the days on your calendar, and March comes, that March, I think it was March 8th of 1991 came, and I just had to watch it go. And because I was in the desert, I was in the Persian Gulf. Part of why I enlisted in the Army was for the education benefits, because I've always had a yearning for education, and I always knew, and for an art degree specifically. And I started college, and I was having a hard time paying for it myself. I feel like I was very naive when I joined the military. We had been in an almost 2-decade time of peace. So I very naively thought that I never would have imagined that I would go to war. I literally thought I was doing something self-serving, yes, but doing something that was a way to get my education. But I realize now I was kind of acting out of desperation at that time in my life. I see it as a part of my journey and my path. And honestly, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't have the skill sets that I have as in terms of teaching, psychologically, emotionally, and artistically. I wouldn't be able to give back. And I have a lot of opportunities on my doorstep that are really allowing me to help other human beings. And so that's a really wonderful thing. And I couldn't, it's like the butterfly effect. If you change one thing, everything else changes, and I may not be in the position I am now. I see it as a vocation and a calling, as spiritual service or medicine would be. I honestly feel that art is as important as medical care, because it is a part of reaching into mental and psychological well-being that we actually all need. Art has helped me reveal things about myself that I didn't even know until I engaged in a certain series or body of work or exploration of a psychological sort of subject matter. And then I found out things about myself that I wouldn't have otherwise, and then was able to heal through that.
All right, my name's Stephen Yarger. I joined the Army in 2001 in Freehold, New Jersey. Spent a little bit of time traveling the world, and I got out in 2015 and moved up to Columbus, Ohio. And I've been here since, working with the VA, kind of transferring some of the skills and lessons that I've learned over the course of the 15 years in the Army to help with veteran transition affairs and the arts program, things of that nature. The VAI is the Veteran Arts Initiative. I joined that program because I needed it. I got out of the Army and kind of got lost. In the Army, they teach you that you need purpose, motivation, and direction. And that's a very important topic for anyone's life. But in the military, that was something that we had to have. That's what you lived for. And once you get out, you don't have that anymore. Partly what that ends up doing, and I mean, everybody runs into that to a certain extent. Once you guys leave college, it's a change of pace. You have missions here, you have a purpose here, you have direction. And then once you get out into a new chapter in your life, you kind of lose that, and you run into that issue where you could not feel like you belong. I have always considered myself creative. I never considered myself an artist. Now, what happened was once I got out and I started participating in these programs, Heather convinced me that I was an artist. Like, all my life, I've drawn, painted, I've played guitar, I've done all kinds of music and all kinds of fun stuff. Creative and artist were two different things in my mind until a few years ago. I said my mother was an artist and my dad was a genius, so that my only calling in life is mad scientist.
The fireworks reminded me of what I left behind. Reminded me of what I've lost. My purpose, my direction, my life, me. Boom. The smell, the concussion, the flash. Reminded me of what I almost was. I'm not supposed to be afraid of this anymore. To wish I had completed my story long before this. I made it home. Did I? Home? Mine? Who am I now? Where do I go to find myself? How do I remember the strength to bridge the gap between who I was and who I'm supposed to be? Where do scars belong in my life? Alone at a desk? I remember. Reason.